In the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council, bright lights shone down on the assembled leaders. The air buzzed with excitement as members from different planets gathered to celebrate what they believed was their greatest victory, the defeat of humanity. Colorful banners decorated the walls and the sound of music filled the room, creating a festive atmosphere. Council leader Varek stood at the center of the stage, his chest puffed out with pride. "Today, we celebrate our triumph," he declared, his voice booming through the hall. "Thanks to our brilliant strategies, we have finally put an end to the human threat." The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices echoing off the high ceilings. Many members raised their glasses, toasting to the supposed end of human defiance. Laughter and chatter filled the room as stories of battles won were exchanged, each tale more exaggerated than the last. Among the crowd, Zira, a young council member from the planet Altheris, felt uneasy. She watched the celebrations with a frown, her mind racing. Reports had come in about strange movements in the outer regions of space. "Are we really safe?" she thought, glancing at her fellow members who seemed lost in the festivities. Ignoring her doubts, Zira joined in the celebrations, clapping and smiling, but deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were making a mistake. The council members, high on victory, refused to acknowledge the warning signs. Instead, they danced and celebrated as if they had achieved the impossible. As the night went on, the council presented trophies from their battles. The most prized possession was a captured human spacecraft, now displayed at the front of the hall. It gleamed under the lights, a testament to their supposed victory. Varek gestured toward it proudly. "This ship is a symbol of our strength. We have shown humans that they are no match for us!" The crowd cheered again, their voices rising in excitement. Yet, in the back of the room, a few members whispered to each other, their expressions serious. "We must not underestimate them," one said. "They have survived worse," but their voices were drowned out by the celebration. As the night wore on, more and more council members dismissed the idea of a continuing human threat. They believed they had crushed their enemy, and nothing could change that. Suddenly, a loud crash interrupted the festivities. The council turned to see a group of guards struggling to control a display of fireworks that had gone off course. Bright sparks flew in every direction, lighting up the hall. Some council members shrieked in surprise, while others laughed, thinking it added to the excitement. "See?" Varek said, raising his glass again. "Even chaos cannot dim our victory. We are stronger than ever." His words echoed through the hall, and the crowd roared in approval, ignoring the sparks falling around them. Zira watched the scene unfold, feeling a growing sense of dread. She knew that beneath the surface of joy, a storm was brewing. The humans were clever, and their spirit was not easily broken. But as she looked around at the celebrating council, she wondered if anyone else felt the same. As the night came to a close, the council members continued to dance and sing, lost in their victory. But Zira remained on the edge of the crowd, her heart heavy with worry. She understood that true victory would not come from celebrating, but from understanding the enemy. Little did they know, the humans were already regrouping. The council's celebration was only the calm before the storm. Zira felt a chill run down her spine as she realized the council was blind to the truth. The real battle was far from over, and she could only hope that they would see it before it was too late. The excitement from the celebration still lingered in the air of the Galactic Council Hall. As the council members returned to their daily tasks, a sense of overconfidence hung around them. They believed they had defeated humanity once and for all, but outside the council's walls, trouble was brewing. Zira, still troubled by the events of the previous night, felt a sense of urgency. Reports had come in about strange happenings in the outer regions of the galaxy. Ships had gone missing, and there were whispers of humans rallying in secret. She knew these were not just rumors. Something was happening, and it could not be ignored. As she walked through the council chambers, she overheard several members discussing their next plans. "We should focus on expanding our territories," one leader said. "Humans are no longer a threat." Zira felt her heart race. But what about the reports? She wanted to shout. Instead, she kept her thoughts to herself, fearing she would be dismissed again. She decided to gather information on her own, convinced that understanding the situation was vital. Later that day, Zira met with a small group of trusted allies. They gathered in a dimly lit room, away from the bustling council members. I believe we need to investigate the outer planets, she said, urgency in her voice. There are too many strange reports for us to ignore. One of her allies, a wise elder named Tarek, nodded. You're right, Zira. We cannot let our guard down. Humans are unpredictable, and we must be ready for anything. The others murmured in agreement, their faces serious. Zira felt a wave of relief. Let's gather more information. We need to know what we're dealing with. They spent the next few hours sharing their findings, piecing together a troubling picture of the events unfolding in the galaxy. As they worked, Tarek spoke of a recent encounter with a human scout ship. It was small, but it moved quickly. They seemed to be testing our defenses, he said. I fear they are planning something. Zira's worries deepened. If they are regrouping, we must warn the Council. They need to understand the threat is not over. But Tarek shook his head. They won't listen to us. We must gather solid evidence before approaching them again. With a plan forming in her mind, Zira and her allies decided to send scouts to monitor the outer planets. They agreed to meet again in a week to discuss what they discovered. As they left the meeting, Zira felt both hopeful and anxious. She knew time was not on their side. Meanwhile, the Council continued its routine. Council leader Varric was busy planning a new initiative to expand their influence, completely unaware of the gathering storm. He laughed and joked with his fellow leaders, confident in their power and strength. But Zira's heart sank when she saw the Council's eagerness. Each passing day without action felt like a missed opportunity. She felt the pressure mounting, knowing that every moment wasted could mean more danger for their worlds. Days turned into a week, and Zira awaited news from her scouts with growing impatience. Finally, she received a message that made her blood run cold. The scouts reported seeing large gatherings of human ships near the asteroid belt. They were not alone. Other alien races were joining them. This was bad news. Zira hurried to gather her allies. We need to act now! Humans are rallying forces with other species. If they unite, we could face a much larger threat, she urged. Her allies shared her concern, but they also knew the Council would likely dismiss their warnings again. We must find a way to present this information so they can't ignore it, Tarek suggested. Zira nodded, determined. We will gather all the evidence we have and confront them. They need to see the truth. As they prepared to present their findings, Zira couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. The Council's celebration had clouded their judgment, and she feared they would pay the price for their overconfidence. With each passing moment, she felt the weight of responsibility. She was ready to fight for the truth, even if it meant going against her own council. The unseen problems were no longer hidden. They were coming closer, and Zira knew they had to be prepared. The real battle was just beginning. Zira sat quietly in the dimly lit room, surrounded by her closest allies. The tension was thick, and everyone was waiting for the scouts to return. They had sent their best agents to investigate the strange reports from the outer regions of the galaxy. Now they were about to find out the truth. The door creaked open, and two scouts walked in, their faces pale and serious. Zira's heart raced. She could tell from their expressions that whatever they had discovered was worse than she imagined. One of the scouts, a tall, thin alien named Jarek, stepped forward and bowed slightly. Council Member Zira, we have returned with critical information. You were right. The humans have not been defeated. We need to prepare for another attack, Tarek added. This time it won't be just the humans. We'll be fighting an entire alliance. The room was filled with fear and uncertainty. The celebration that had once united them was now a distant memory. Zira could see the worry in every face. The truth had finally sunk in, but she knew that accepting it wasn't enough. We need a plan, Zira said firmly. The humans are coming and we're not ready. We need to act now or it will be too late. The council remained quiet, and for the first time, Varric had no answer. The shocking discovery had shaken them to their core. Now all they could do was prepare for the storm that was fast approaching. The council chamber was eerily quiet after Zira's revelation. The hologram of the human fleet still floated in the air, casting a dim blue light across the room. The council members, who once celebrated their victory, now sat in stunned silence. Zira stood at the front, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew that this was the moment the truth would finally come out. Varric, the council leader, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. His face, once full of confidence, was now pale and tense. This can't be, he stammered. We defeated the humans. They shouldn't be able to fight back. Zira stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. You never truly defeated them, Varric. You only pushed them into hiding. They've been preparing this entire time, waiting for the right moment to strike. Several council members exchanged nervous glances, whispering to each other. The truth was becoming impossible to ignore. Zira felt a strange mix of satisfaction and dread. She had been right all along, but this wasn't a victory to celebrate. Tarek, the wise elder, stood beside her. His old eyes were full of concern as he addressed the room. We ignored the warning signs. We were too busy celebrating to see that the humans were not defeated. Now we face a far greater threat. Varric clenched his fists, struggling to maintain control. But how could they have gathered such a force without us noticing? How could we have missed this? Zira exchanged a glance with Tarek before turning back to the council. We missed it because we were arrogant. We assumed that humans were weaker, that they would never recover from the damage we dealt them. But humans are resilient. They adapted and they found allies. A murmur of agreement rippled through the room. Zira could see the truth settling into their minds. For years they had believed in their superiority, never imagining that the humans could rise again. One of the younger council members, a woman named Lyra, stood up. What do we do now? She asked, her voice trembling slightly. If the humans are coming with allies, we're not prepared for another war. Zira felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. She had fought so hard to bring the truth to light, but now that it was out, they had to act quickly. We need to prepare our defenses, she said firmly. We still have time, but we can't waste a single moment. The human fleet is gathering, and we need to be ready. Varric, still reeling from the news, rubbed his temples. This changes everything, he muttered. We've been expanding our territories, focusing on the wrong enemies. We didn't see the real threat right in front of us. Tarek nodded solemnly. It's time we change our approach. We must stop underestimating the humans. They've proven time and again that they are capable of great things, even when the odds are against them. Zira stepped forward once more, her voice strong. We need to put aside our pride and face reality. The humans are not just another race to conquer. They are a force to be reckoned with, and if we don't act, they will strike first. The room fell silent again, but this time it wasn't the silence of disbelief. It was the silence of realization. The council members knew that Zira was right. They had been blinded by their own arrogance, and now they were paying the price. After a long pause, Varric finally spoke, his voice low but resolute. We will prepare for war. We will strengthen our defenses and call back our fleets. The humans may be planning their next move, but we will not be caught off guard this time. Zira felt a wave of relief wash over her. The truth had come out, and finally the council was taking the threat seriously. But there was no time to celebrate. The humans were out there gathering their forces, and the clock was ticking. As the council members began discussing strategies and plans, Zira glanced at Tarek. Do you think we have a chance? She asked quietly. Tarek gave her a small, reassuring smile. We always have a chance, Zira. The question is whether we are willing to fight for it. Zira nodded, her determination growing stronger. The truth had been revealed, and now it was time to act. The final battle was coming, and they would be ready. Zira stood at the observation deck, gazing out at the massive fleet assembling in the dark void of space. The ships, sleek and powerful, were ready for war. The Galactic Council had mobilized its forces faster than anyone thought possible. But Zira couldn't shake the uneasy feeling gnawing at her. The humans were out there waiting, preparing to strike with a vengeance. Tarek walked up beside her, his expression calm but serious. It's almost time, he said quietly. Our fleets are ready, but this won't be easy. Zira nodded. I know. We've been preparing for this moment, but I can't help but wonder, are we making the right choice? Tarek raised an eyebrow. You doubt our decision to fight? Zira sighed deeply, turning to face him. I don't doubt our need to defend ourselves. The humans and their allies are coming, and we have no choice but to protect our people. But what if there's another way? What if we're missing something? Tarek looked at her thoughtfully. You've always been the one to see things others don't, Zira. What do you mean? Zira hesitated for a moment, then spoke. The humans are different from us, but they're not mindless savages. They've survived against the odds because they are adaptable, resourceful, and determined. They've found allies because other species see something in them. What if we've been wrong about them this whole time? What if we can end this without more bloodshed? Tarek's face softened. You're talking about peace? Zira nodded slowly. I know it sounds crazy. The council would never consider it. But think about it. If we can offer the humans something they need, something they want, maybe we can avoid a war that will destroy both sides. Tarek crossed his arms, thinking deeply. It's a tough choice, Zira. You're talking about negotiating with an enemy that feels betrayed, one that wants revenge. Do you think they'd listen? Zira sighed again, frustration and hope swirling inside her. I don't know, but we've always treated the humans as a lesser species, as if they don't deserve the same respect. Maybe that's why they've risen against us. Maybe if we show them that we're willing to talk, they might reconsider. Tarek was silent for a moment, his eyes scanning the fleet outside the window. It's risky, he said slowly. If we reach out, we're exposing ourselves. If the humans refuse, we'll be in a worse position. The Council won't like this idea. Zira bit her lip. I know the risk, but I can't shake the feeling that war will only make things worse. Both sides will lose lives. Planets will be destroyed. The galaxy will be thrown into chaos. Tarek placed a hand on her shoulder. You've always had a strong sense of what's right. If you believe this is the path we should take, I'll stand by you. But you need to be sure. Are you willing to defy the Council for this chance? Zira looked into his eyes, the weight of the decision pressing down on her. She knew the Council wouldn't approve. They were already preparing for war, ready to strike back at the humans. But she also knew that if she didn't try, if she didn't at least offer a chance for peace, the consequences would be devastating. Taking a deep breath, Zira made her decision. Yes, I'm willing to take the risk. Tarek nodded, a look of respect in his eyes. Then we need to act fast. We'll send a message to the human fleet, offering them a chance to negotiate. Zira's heart raced as they turned to leave the observation deck. The toughest choice of her life had been made. Now, it was up to the humans to decide whether to meet in peace or plunge the galaxy into war. As they prepared the message, Zira could only hope that her gamble would pay off. That maybe, just maybe, there was still a chance to avoid the destruction that loomed over them all.